And a baby step is to not equating any vulnerability to asking and getting to certainty around asking. Knowing the value of what you already have when asking, beliefs about value, is another key point. So, first key point is how we feel when we're asking. Second is knowing the value of what you already have when you are asking, your beliefs about your value. And that can go anywhere from career to parenting. Like if you're going to ask your kids to pick up their room every day, then when you ask, one, you want it to come from a place of love or compassion. And two, you don't want to ask knowing that, thinking that what you already offer them isn't valuable. So if you're thinking already, like, I already ask a lot of them and I might be a bad parent because I haven't been having them do this, then the value isn't behind it. Now, if you know why you're asking them to do this and it's valuable, you feel valuable, and what you're offering them is something like if you learn to do this, you will create this. If you understand what you're offering by asking them to do something, it's all going to work out and you know where you are. So, regardless of how they show up, you understand your value. Now, if this is career, what we don't often see is that we work because we had value to offer someone. We didn't go to work because they were the perfect match for us. Our bucket of value is what keeps us at work. And when we're asking for what we want at work, oftentimes we're just asking because we're like, well, this came up and I need this today, and or I want this today. And the case is that when you bring all of this, sometimes there has to be more added from what you're bringing. It's about bringing our value. When we understand that our value comes from our own self, our own thoughts, and not from an external value bank, then asking becomes a value exchange in the parenting situation and, in career. And that also comes from ourselves. If we're constantly asking ourselves for something like a different weight, like more organization, which I call prioritization, or proactivation versus procrastinating, if we're asking for those things from ourselves, if we're asking like we already aren't valuable to ourselves, we're going to keep asking an empty person and thing. So asking comes from a value exchange because we think the thing or person we're asking holds all the power, but we do because we're already giving something as value, but we're not taught to think that way. The next thing that comes up is when what other people's opinions are about you asking for something. Other people's opinions, the OPOs. We have no control over what they're thinking. And when we're spending time wondering what someone else will be thinking, we're not focusing in on our value exchange, what we're actually thinking about, what we would ask for, what we really want. We only know what we think or feel. And oftentimes we get stuck, which is a thought, get stuck thinking if I ask for that, someone's going to look down on me or think this about me or think I'm greedy or myself. If you're asking something from yourself, you think that you're weak. I mean, that's just how our brain goes. So OPOs, what other people will think of you if you ask. Our value is created in us. Value is not gathered from our work, our salary, our status. This is a misconception that makes us feel bad when we compare, or makes it necessary to compare. If I had a better job, more money, different home, different body, if we begin to ask ourselves what truly makes us valuable, then there becomes no searching. Then asking is a natural progression, because let me ask you this: how does anyone get anything in this world without asking? You're like, well, I just go and get it. But that's still asking you to do something. And isn't it funny how we go and get things or without actually asking ourselves how this is going to work. And I think we do that because we don't look at our true value and are looking for something to complete us. And so asking has a lot of different pieces here. Great pieces to work on. So I'm going to share my screen and kind of go over some questions and a little more content, and then I'll wrap this up. And if anyone's here that wants a little bit of coaching, I'm happy to, run over a little model with you. Okay, so the belief model I work from, which is extremely valuable, works in every situation. The circumstance is always a fact, and I'll let you fill this in. This would be an ask. And the thought is, I do not ask for things. Now, I have a lot of rules for myself. If you follow me, you've heard me say I don't make mistakes. I have a lot of built in rules for myself. And how painful is that if I'm a person that believes I don't make mistakes, but know inherently that humans make mistakes? I do not ask for things. So when I do take the action of asking, because I'm thinking I don't ask for things, that really my brain throws up the flares and says, wow, get this is vulnerable. You don't ask for things and you're going to ask for something. Okay. My brain's like sending off the alarms. So then from thinking I don't ask for things, I feel vulnerable. The actions I take are wondering what people think, thinking I appear weak, never asking where things come from. If you don't ask, right? Like you ask yourself to go to the grocery store. I mean, if you didn't ask yourself to do that, I mean, you think you just do things. You do things because of your beliefs, and you don't have to ask yourself now because it's habit, but that's how we build up habits of asking, and it becomes our normal. And then the result is that things you want, you do not get. And it's because you're thinking, I don't ask for things. It's not because of the things you're asking for. It's because you are believing that you don't ask for things, and it inherently always creates things you want you do not get. You get things that one you didn't ask for or just not quite there. So need is a little bit different topic. Once our basic needs are met, labeling is not often a help. Labeling as need is not often a helpful vibration. We want to be able to say, I want this, and then look at what wanting means to us, because oftentimes we think wanting is selfish or greedy, but that's human nature to want things. And when we know that the things never actually change us, that really brings in a difference between wanting and needing. Okay, let's go to another model here. Circumstance, the thought, I know I can't have this, that, or the other because of the past. And the feeling is invaluable, or I would say doubtful. And our actions or inaction we take is asking, not knowing where our value comes from and what value we have, because we think the value comes from everything outside of us. And the result is that you don't have what you want in the future because you're thinking, I know I can't have this, that, or the other based on the past. So just like want and need, this is a topic that I discuss in depth on Facebook. You can find my videos or you can reach out to me. This is the work we really dive into when we work one-to-one. Thoughts about our past is our past. You may believe that our past is our fact, but I bet many would tell the story of your past differently. Your parents will say you were super successful in high school, and you would say that you weren't. And I even say that same thing about my kids. You're going to say, yeah, but this did happen in my past. Yes, but if it's not happening now, then it only comes forward with you in your thoughts. So we keep our past alive by our thoughts. I'm no longer in middle school, which I hated. Could I think about it and create hate for me every day? Yes. Do I? No. And I'm not judging you if your past is coming with you. There are things from the past I bring with me, and I'm doing that work. So when you're thinking about asking for something and your brain takes you to the past, the last time you asked for something, you want to just put a pin in it and say, that's not happening. I'm looking at my value, what I'm wanting, and what I'm offering, and the feelings I'm having based on my beliefs, which probably come from the past, about asking. And how will I get anything if I don't ask? And what am I making it mean if I don't get what I'm asking for immediately? That takes us to failure, which will be another video. But I just want to touch inversely on the future is created the same way. So as if your brain took you to the past and the last time you asked and you're like, it didn't go well, this is vulnerable, those are your thoughts. You're not asking for the same thing. And we create the future the same way. So may I suggest that you think about how it's going to look like when you ask and you create that feeling with your thoughts ahead of time so that you know how you're going to show up. Always people say, well, you can't create your future. Yep, just like you carry your past forward to now, you can start to think about your future. Will it happen exactly like that? No. Did your past happen exactly like you remember it in your thoughts? No. But we want to plan from a place of presence. And when you're like aware of where you are and intentionally you're not bringing the past up, that means you're present and able to think intentionally about the future. So I hear you and raise you if you're like, well, how can you be present, Andrea, if you're thinking about the future? Well, if you are intentional enough to plan for the future mentally, then you aren't in the past, and so you're present. So here's your actions for today. When you do these, you want to be taking action from a feeling of compassion, curiosity, or openness in your mind. You want to be thinking, this is how my mind works, and it's okay. We don't want to be in a place where we're thinking, I can't believe I didn't know this, or you could even come from disbelief. Just make sure you know that the actions I'm giving you come from a feeling and a thought. Write down your beliefs about asking for things. What was the last thing you asked yourself tangible or intangible? What was the last thing you asked someone else for? Tangible, because no one else can know your intangibles. What are you afraid to ask for? Asking is an extension of what you have to offer. Do you know what you offer? Your brain's going to say, yeah, I know. Well, I suggest you dig a little deeper. Now, if you get done with those questions, I mean, 2 to 10 minutes of free writing on that free writing, it's better, it's more helpful than just thinking about it because it's tangible. It gets it out on paper. You know, you could also think about your beliefs about wants versus needs and what you think about your past versus your future and being present. So, this is an excellent topic. I would love for you to watch this webinar, do that work, and reach out with comments. Now, this is the work I take more deeply as I work one-to-one with people, and we can do a free 30 minutes together just to kind of see, well, here's where I am with my asking, or I'm wanting to understand my past, how it's affecting me and how I think about the future, or you're trying to, make peace with burnout and figure out what to do, which is root cause work versus uprooting, or maybe you have a relationship that you don't know what to do with. I mean, that all comes back to us. And so we do a lot of relationship work. If you're wanting to lose weight, that's an ask from yourself that we want to zero in on. And that's asking that continues. And as that becomes a habit, then you aren't asking you to take care of your body every day, you're moving on. And that's the work we do. So this is beautiful. You just have to email me, romercoaching@gmail.com, message me on LinkedIn or on Facebook, and I'm happy to set up a time with you to talk for free. The best thing is that it's all about you, that space. I don't know anything that's right for you. I can just give you guidelines to find what your brain is offering you and where you want to go and how you want to direct your brain. We don't want to let the brain run on default because it can. As a nurse, you know that our lower brain can breathe for us, beat our heart, talk, and we can be our default self in our higher brain, but we also want to be making those higher brain decisions intentionally. So this is great work that we're doing. So thanks for watching this Webby, and please reach out to me and keep watching. Have the day you want.